Greetings and salutations, dreamers in dreamland. Welcome to the latest edition of Listen to Me. Listen to Me, volume 36. And let me tell you something right now. Today is Wednesday, August the 4th, 2021. And I have a very specific topic that I want to discuss with yous right now. That's right, everybody's favorite boxing shaman, yours truly, has got one name and one name alone that he wants to discuss on the heels of his very impressive performance last night at Madison Square Garden Theater. That's right, Michael the Bounty Hunter. None other than Michael Hunter, the Bounty Hunter. Incredible performance. Now, this was on the undercard, if you will. It was the main event of the boxing portion, but it was the undercard of the Dipset versus the Locks, battle or, soundtrack, playoff, whatever it was, music competition, which was epic if and of itself, but I'm here to cover the boxing. And most specifically, I'm here to cover the main event portion. Chris Algieri was on the undercard. A fair to Midlands performance by Chris Algieri. He was victorious against a moderate to, pedestrian level opponent from Brooklyn. Algieri, well done. But Michael Hunter was most impressive, in my opinion, in the main event of the boxing portion of that card. That's right, Michael Hunter in his knockout victory over Michael Wilson. Incredible punch. Incredible right hand landed by Michael Hunter that put Michael Wilson out. I mean, Michael Wilson, to his credit, did get up at about 9.5, did get to his feet, but he was in bad shape. He was in no condition to continue, and well done by the referee to, put a halt to the contest at that point and, deem it a technical knockout, because Michael Hunter definitely beat Michael Wilson beyond the shadow of a doubt. He beat that guy from pillar to post, and he stopped that guy. And he stopped that guy with an exclamation point. He did so in, fantastic fashion. Truly something remarkable. That was a great knockout by Michael Hunter. Again, Michael Hunter, who's moving up from Cruiserweight, knocking out a full-fledged heavyweight. A very big, heavyweight in Michael Wilson. Now, at the end of the day, Michael Wilson, he was a very decorated amateur. And as a professional, he had only lost one time previous to being knocked out and being stopped last night by Michael Hunter. Michael Wilson, his one loss was to Denis Ledbev. And I'm not sure if it's Ledbev or Ledbev, excuse me, on my pronunciation there, but Michael Wilson, previous to being stopped by Michael Hunter last night, had only lost once, and that was to Denis Ledbev. Denis Ledbev, he is a world-level challenger. He's never been a world champion, but he has been in the ring with world champions in the past and world-level guys. Denis Ledbev is a world-level challenger, and that's the only guy before last night that had ever defeated Michael Wilson. And Michael Hunter was the first man to stop Michael Wilson. Michael Wilson was known to be very durable, known to be a tough guy. And at the end of the day, this really is another feather in the cap, if you will, from Michael Hunter at heavyweight. Because, let's face it, as a heavyweight, if we're being honest and we're being real, Michael Hunter is far more accomplished of a resume and far more impressive so far as a heavyweight than Alexander Usyk. That's a fact. Now, Alexander Usyk, yes, as a cruiserweight, he was the undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world, all 4 belts. Incredible stuff. And yes, the one loss on Michael Hunter's record is to the hands of Alexander Usyk. No question about it. That was in the World Boxing Super Series for the cruiserweights a few years ago. But since moving to heavyweight, Michael Hunter has been far more impressive than Alexander Usyk. And I can break that down for you right now. Now, Alexander Usyk, he is headed in to the fight with Anthony Joshua. A historic fight for the heavyweight championship, the unified heavyweight championship, the WBO, IBO, IBF, and WBA heavyweight championship of the world. Incredible fight coming up. And this is the first time in history you're going to have two Olympic gold medalists from the same Olympics, the same year, going head-to-head for the heavyweight championship of the world. Because at the same Olympic Games in 2012, Alexander Usyk, gold medalist as a heavyweight. Anthony Joshua, gold medalist as a super heavyweight. So this is the first time in the history of boxing we're going to have two guys who had gold medals at the same Olympic Games fighting each other for the heavyweight championship of the world. That's historic if and of itself. But as a heavyweight thus far, the only things that Alexander Usyk has managed to do are beat Chaz Witherspoon, a pedestrian-level opponent, and Chaz Witherspoon, who's probably not as good as Michael Wilson. I mean, okay, Michael Wilson, Chaz Witherspoon, they're similar in resume. They're similar, fighters. They probably swim in the same pool, but Michael Wilson is definitely more comfortable swimming in the deeper end of that pool. That's a fact. That's not debatable. Especially where the fighters, stood at the time. When Michael Wilson fought Michael Hunter, he was more active and definitely sharper than Chaz Witherspoon was when he fought Alexander Usyk. Chaz Witherspoon was coming off some inactivity. Chaz Witherspoon really, again, maybe the same pool as Michael Wilson, but not as comfortable swimming in as deep as at the same deep end of that pool. That's the metaphor I'll leave you with to compare those two fighters. Okay, and what else has Usyk done as a heavyweight? He fought Dereck Zora. Dereck Zora, who, maybe he's a top 10 guy. In my opinion, he's a top 10 at number 10. And, in my opinion, he beat Joseph Parker in his last fight. He didn't get the nod from the judges, but he beat that guy. And a lot of people will put Joe Parker in the top 10, but they won't put Dereck Zora in the top 10. When Dereck Zora, outside of holding the WBO title that, Joe Parker was fortunate enough to hold in a, decision he was very fortunate to get against Andy Ruiz, which I don't feel he did enough to win that fight. But outside of that, Dereck Zora's resume as a heavyweight is better than anything Joseph Parker's done. I mean, Joseph Parker lost to AJ, okay, but, Dereck Zora has been in the ring with everyone in the heavyweight division over the past decade and a half, from Vitaly Klitschko to Tyson Fury to Kubrat Pulev to Joe Parker to Dillian Whyte to Carlos Takam. It's very hard to find a guy that has graced the top 10 in the past 10, even close to 15 years in the heavyweight division of boxing that Dereck Zora has not been around. Dereck Zora has wanted that smoke forever. And Dereck Zora, when he fought Alexander Usyk, it was a close fight. It was a very close fight. Now, I've got to be very honest. I'm a Dereck Zora fan. I like Del Boy. I love to watch him fight because he really brings it. He takes a lot of risks. He's not the most polished boxer. I'm not going to tell you that he's an Anthony Joshua level fighter or a Tyson Fury level boxer, but he'll go out there and he'll bring it every time. And he shows no fear, and he's very entertaining to watch. Extremely entertaining to watch. He's always out there he's always up for a good mashup. And when he fought Usyk, it was no different. Early on in that fight, Dereck Zora, those punches were definitely scaring Alexander Usyk. And when Usyk was getting hit clean by Chisora, he didn't like it. He didn't like it. Now, Usyk did win a points decision, and maybe he didn't win enough to win 7 or 8 rounds. Maybe. It's very hard for me to say, even being a fan of Dereck Zora, that I felt that he clearly won that fight. I don't feel he clearly won that fight. I felt when I watched that fight, and I feel today that fight was very close, and I see why Usyk got the nod. I'm very realistic, but it was not an impressive performance by Usyk. Let's make no mistake about it. It really was not an impressive performance. And Michael Hunter, he has had an impressive performance against Martin Bakole. That's right, Martin Bakole. at this time, right now, I would put Martin Bakole at a very similar level as Dereck Zora. Those two guys are definitely swimming in the same pool. And I would venture to say that those two guys are comfortable winning at the same depth of that same pool. Which is definitely a pool that's a level above, Michael Wilson and Chaz Witherspoon. The pool that Dereck Zora and Martin Bakole in is definitely a level above that. But there's no discrepancy. Those guys are very close to their depth in that pool, to being at the same depth in that pool. That's a fact. And, Michael Hunter's victory over Martin Bakole was definitely more impressive. Definitely more impressive. No question about it. He summoned the spirit of his father. That's right. And that's from Michael. That's not a story. That's from Michael Hunter himself. That's what happened in that fight. And Michael Hunter, his resume at heavyweight is not limited to Martin Bakole and Michael Wilson. That's not the only two fighters that Michael Hunter has defeated at heavyweight. And he's done so impressively. He also has a draw with Alexander Povetkin, before Povetkin defeated Dillian Whyte and before he lost the rematch to Dillian Whyte. Alexander Povetkin, who's been a top 10 heavyweight, at the top of the top 10 heavyweights, at the top 5 of the top 10 heavyweights for the past 10, 15 years. Through the era of the Klitschko's, into the Joshua era. And Alex Povetkin and Michael Hunter, they fought a draw. That was on the undercard of the Ruiz-Joshua rematch. And it was an incredible, it was a great fight. That was a great matchup. Michael Hunter and Alex Povetkin, that was a great fight. There was a couple of times in that fight where Michael Hunter had Alexander Povetkin looking like he was ready to go. And he just didn't step on the gas enough. And to be honest with you, I felt Michael Hunter did enough to win that fight. But that's a draw that, even though maybe Michael Hunter should have won that fight, and maybe he did, that's a draw, and that's a fight that aged well, because Povetkin proved after that he wasn't cooked at that point in that fight. He went on and he defeated Dillian Whyte, who is a top 10, top 5, top 4, maybe, if you include all the champions, heavyweight in the world. Right now. Today. He went on from losing to Povetkin and he knocked him out. He stopped him. And previous to getting stopped by Povetkin, he got caught by Povetkin by a perfect punch, by a beautiful shot. I'm not calling it a lucky punch. I didn't say that. But he lined up a perfect shot and he got caught. Povetkin lined Dillian Whyte up, caught him, got him. Before that, in that fight, Dillian Whyte won every single minute of that fight, previous to getting stopped. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Don't let anybody bullshit you or serve you a bologna sandwich. Take you for a walk in the park. The first Dillian Whyte versus Alexander Povetkin fight, Dillian Whyte was winning every minute of that fight until he got caught. Every minute. Every minute. Got caught, and that was it. That was it. And he caught Dillian Whyte the round after he had touched the canvas twice. He'd been bounced off the canvas twice. Dillian was going for it. He got a little sloppy, got caught. It happens. See, listen. Same thing sort of happened to Lennox Lewis when he was fighting Oliver McCall. He got caught. Maybe he got a little sloppy and he got caught. The first Rockman fight too, with Lennox Lewis and Rockman. Maybe Lewis got a little sloppy, got caught with a right hand. These things can happen in boxing. Dillian Whyte got caught, but what happened in the rematch? Came back and he got the job done. That's why Dillian Whyte sits at the top, top echelon of the heavyweights in the world today. The upper half of the top 10. And he is overdue, long overdue, WBC World Heavyweight title shot. But everybody knows that, and that's another topic for another day. But one more time. Off the heels of his incredible performance on Tuesday Night Fights on Thrillerverse, Thrillerverse, which was pretty cool. The whole show was, pretty spectacular. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. And I must say, Triller is offering value for money, $2.99 a month or $30 for the year, and you get at least one fight a month. It's a pretty fair deal. I'll definitely divulge that, I felt it was value for money and I signed up. $2.99 a month. I didn't do the year because it's only a difference of $6. So economically speaking, it's not a real big savings. And what if after the first 6 or 7 months they cease operations? I don't want to give them an extra, an extra $18. I want that $18. Anyway, at the end of the day, I am your favorite boxing shaman, and it was your pleasure to view this incredible video about Michael Hunter and his incredible performance last night. Michael Hunter, who is a top 10 heavyweight, probably at number 10, and looking forward to see what the future holds for Michael Hunter. Until we meet again, my friends, I love each and every one of you, but not nearly equally. That's just the way it works, because some of you are my family and some of you are jerks. Ha ha! Peace.